Howdy folks, TJ here. Megahertz, gigahertz, any of the hertz, I heard all the time. NTSC, PAL, it can all get a little confusing, right? Today's video is, I'm no techie guru. I am not Mr. Engineer, but there is something I want to chat about, and that's the F3 button, or the way that you can save the Next to boot up every time, where you have a certain presentation on your screen that may look different, work correctly, and that is the vertical refresh screen hertz, HZ. It's not like gigahertz. But like I said, I'm older, so I do hear it every morning when I wake up. Let's wake up the screen, and I want to quickly show you something. And I want to call out Johnny McGibbets from my Sinclair Society Facebook group for not calling me out on it, but being a gentleman and saying, hey, before you play games, you should be in the right gigahertz, damn it. And this has come up before. Somebody pointed out to me this F3 button that I had been pushing on my Next, what it was actually doing, because I knew it, but I didn't know it, right? I didn't study it, because there's certain things that good old TJ, we all have our thing, right? And I try not to dwell on something too long, because if I do, I putter out and I sit there and I get nothing done. So I've gotten it, and my mind thinks fast. I talk fast. That's me. I go and I analyze and then I do. If I just sit there, it's not like nuclear science that you want to be exactly precise, because otherwise it's going to blow up the world, right? So I typically set out something, and if I look at it, I try to make a deduction, and then I just go. I don't want to dwell on it too long, because then again, I get nothing done. Like my Volkswagen bus. I start on the brake job, and it's because I'm not familiar with it, and I drag stuff along, and it takes forever to get done. This is a little different, though. This is just a video game. So let me wake up the screen on my Next. So as you can see, it's a beautiful presentation. It's nice and big. It doesn't fill the whole screen. I don't know if this is considered a 16:9 screen. I think it is. Most monitors are. But anyway, you can see it's all nice and vibrant, and it looks good, right? I got spittle on my glasses already. That's one thing. Another thing about TJ, I hate spots on glasses. Drives me bonkers. Okay, where was I? Vertical refresh rate. So it looks fine, right? To the average ordinary consumer, but unless you're a video gamer of old, where there's a 4:3 aspect ratio, and I don't want to talk about one particular friend that talks about laser disc aspect ratios, because he will go crazy. But I love the guy. That's all I get. I don't want to go there. So let me read to you this first, and then we'll do it. And then we'll chat about it a little bit. And this is only to bring things to attention, because if you're in the United States and you're used to just Atari and Commodore and Apple, where you plugged it into a TV and it just worked and it worked right, or it had a monitor that was designed for it, like these Ataris, which you probably can't see, and it just worked right. But then when you start being a USA bloke getting interest in overseas computers from Europe, their method of showing stuff on the screen's a little different. We'll put it that way. I don't want to make this too techy, because then I won't understand it. Then I'll sit here and I'll get in one of those lulls going. And I'll sit here, I'll just look at the camera. I won't know what to do next. Because again, I don't want to stop on something. I just want to get stuff done. Let's read. F3. So normally on the left side of the Next, there's a little yellow button on the front. Is that I can't even read. It's so dark over here. It says, I don't know what it says. I think it's the NMI button. Is it the NMI button? Hold on a second. This is my video. I can take a little longer. I gotta share some light on it. Yeah, NMI. See, I've been using this Next for years, and it's just a yellow button. I don't think of it as NMI. Okay, NMI plus the number 3 key up on the top of the Next. And what will that do? Okay. It says it's used for 50Hz / 60Hz, that's HZ, big H, little z, or is it Z? Oh, now I'm going to have all the UK people pissed off because I said the letter Z. But you got to admit, for a USA bloke, I say ZX all the time now. But once in a while, if it's in a context of just a letter, I don't say HZ, I say HZ. But when I'm saying ZXSpectrum, I say Z. It does sound cooler. Don't ask me to say aluminum in your lingo, because that's just not going to work. Okay, 50 hertz slash 60 hertz vertical frequency. That's the word I was trying to find earlier. Frequency. And what's it do? It says next to notes. I spit all over my paper. Changes the display's vertical frequency from 50 to 60 hertz and vice versa. Now, what does that mean? Okay. So let's wake it up again. So doesn't that look nice and big, and it looks a little stretched out maybe, but it looks vibrant. To me, it looks fine. But then I do the NMI 3, the screen goes black for a second, and everything is more like I'm going to say 4:3 ratio. I don't know if that's true or not, but it goes to the ratio that your typical TV of the time would be, and everything looks as it should have back in the 1980s, kinda. Because this is an HDMI display, right? This is not, I don't want to get into the whole RGB, VGA timing issues, because that blows my mind. I don't want to go there, but see, that looks different, right? So a long time ago, I did a video, and I magically said, oh, I want to make everything look bigger on the screen so you can see it better and I can see it better. So I did this, and everything got bigger. But then you notice you lose a little bit up and down here. I don't know, I don't want to get into the whole PAL and NTSC, because Japan does use NTSC, but most people say PAL's the superior way to present stuff on TV and all that. It's all just rocket science to me. I'm in the USA, damn it, and this is what we have, and this is what we use. But, okay, so where am I going with this? So in the past, my computer, I had it set up to boot up to, because whatever TV I had first set my Next up to, it comes up with, and it rotates through various graphic modes, or does this look good to you? Does this look good to you? And you select the one that you like. That's appropriate, that shows everything in the screen. And then you set it, and then from that point on, your Next just boots up that way all the time. So for the longest time, I had it booting up into this, which is correct. We'll call it correct. This is what a typical computer of the day would kind of show. And then one day, magically, I don't know if I accidentally did it, because I do NMI 4 all the time, which is a soft reboot. Is that what the book says? I called it a soft reboot. Let's check, though. We want to be precise. F4, soft reset. Okay, so I was doing that, and then I did that, and I go, oh, look at how much bigger it is. I can see it better. Okay, so somebody said, okay, TJ, because I posted that on the video, and they said, TJ, you know what that's doing? That's changing the vertical frequency, and that's what it's doing. And things are going to now speed up or slow down depending on which one you're in, because 50 hertz and 60 hertz, I believe 60 being a bigger number means it's a little faster. It goes a little zippier. So, for example, if you've been watching my videos, I just played a game on the Next, Crater Crawler. And everything on the screen, as you saw, went really fast. I kept saying, that went too fast, that went too fast. It's because I've been in 60 hertz all this time. Now, if I was being more careful, I would have known that. But I probably knew it, but I just didn't care. Again, I care, but like I said, it's not a priority. Priority right now is upstairs. I've got 3 outlets and a light that just stopped working. Either a rodent has chewed through a cable. I live out in the country, so you do have some rodent issues. And we no longer have power up there. And I had to pay a professional to come out, and they spent 2 hours and couldn't figure it out. So that goes above and beyond that takes up a lot of brain cells versus, TJ, before you start a game, make sure you're in 50 hertz. Different priorities for different people, right? But you want to try to do it, and I want to try to be more cognizant of it. But, so let's go back to what it kind of should look like, right? So if you're at this and you're playing a game, more than likely, and Johnny kind of pointed this out, most every old game that's made for the Speccy is overseas from Europe, right? And they're PAL, 50 hertz, and all that stuff. And the designer of the game made it for that. So their speed of screens and their speed of stuff is going to be different. If I all of a sudden stick it here in the United States and give it a little bit more power like Tim Allen, and it just starts going blazingly fast. So yeah, you're going to see in the past some games where I was probably complaining, this is too fast! And it's probably because I was on 60 hertz. Now I do have a reason why My computer's been on this now for the last 3 months because I went to a trade show. I took my Next to a Commodore Amiga show, and at the particular TV I brought there wasn't happy at 50 hertz. It was doing all sorts of weird things. So I set it at one that would work, and it was 60. So I brought the computer home, plugged it in, and didn't think anything of it. Again, priorities for my life and my mind in different areas and thinking of different mistresses. Atari, Sam Coupe, Auric Atmos. I've got a lot of mistresses, and those, I gotta divvy my time between them all, and little things may fall through the cracks, like showing proper 50 hertz, which is not this right now. So my computer's been on this for a while now, so Johnny had said, check. Make sure basically you're on 50 hertz, because then things will probably be better. So I can go back in and try to reset this screen up to where it's always 50 hertz and comes up that way. Or do the F3, not F3, I call it F, yeah, it's the NMI 3, and it scrunches everything down, it puts it in the right vertical frequency, and then technically games should play better. Then again, this is an HDMI display. So if I had connected it to a VGA and RGB, where some people are saying the timing is different from HDMI, it goes into a whole other ball of wax. It gets even more confusing. But needless to say, probably if I do this most of the time, things will generally be good. But we'll end with, okay, so in the olden days, a lot of this stuff was made in the UK and over there, we'll call it, and they made it for those particular TVs, 50 hertz and all that. But what about the Next? The Next isn't, majority of the people, I would say if I was a gambling guy, I would say 75% or more people using this on an HDMI display, not a VGA or RGB. I don't know if that's for sure, but the odds are, and especially a lot of new folks that are buying Next for the first time, they're going to plug it into an HDMI because that's the standard now. It's not the old VGAs. It's not the old RGBs. Not everybody's 50 to 60 or 70 years old that have this old technology. So what are programmers going to do? Are they going to start designing for HDMI and 50? I don't know if there makes a big difference, but they may need to make their programs a little bit more cognizant. If there's a way to say, let's check in what is it 50 hertz, 60 hertz, and therefore if it's 60, slow this up a little bit. If it's 50, stay fine. I don't know. I'm not that brilliant of a mind, but I think there is a little bit of a conundrum there to basically say, what should it be? Is it on the developer to develop that particular thing for everybody? And is everybody's HDMI capable of doing 50 and 60 fine, and then being able to decipher what they're on so you do the proper speed of the game so it matches what you designed it for? I don't know. Those things go above and beyond my mind, but needless to say, HDMI is here. I seem to remember reading at some point the timings, and again, I don't quite understand this, but they're going to do some things to future Next ZX OS and all the core and all that to basically make HDMI even a little bit better, more capable, because there are some older games that may have taken advantage of voodoo and trickery to do a particular thing. I remember playing this chainsaw game. It was like a Tetris, but there was chainsaws, and there was something I never saw on the screen. It looked like more of a black blob or a blob instead of it being something that looked like something, and people were saying, oh yeah, it's because of a timing issue. I don't know. Anyway, if you're in the United States or any place that's NTSC and you happen to be on a 60 hertz setup, that's what you saved it on. If your screen looks a little bit bigger, if it looks like that, you're good. If it doesn't, go to the NMI 3 and you'll see the change. Just hit it and see what it looks like, but know that this is probably not the correct. If you're playing an old Speccy game, this here will be more accurate, hopefully, for your game presentation and enjoyment. So that's it. Thank you, Johnny, for pointing that out to me. Now you know why for the last number of months. I kind of see it, like I said, but I don't. It's just not a priority for me. And I think of other things. I just say, I do, and I move on. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And right now I'm going to move over to that screen and shut it off at 50 hertz, because I'm a little old. Oh, NTSC is much faster. Less resolution, though.